slide that I have up for additional information and guidance with our conversation. So this is a two-way conversation. So I want to welcome everyone that is with me live. We have Teresa Oliver, Susan Robinson, Anastasia Agunawan, Jennifer Halsworth, and Cheryl Sablo. And I apologize if I butchered anybody's name. I should have probably just started with first names. So if you want to take a quick 30 seconds, anybody that's on here, if you would like to just introduce yourself and share what area you service, I always welcome that in these sessions. I see Cheryl turned on her camera. So Cheryl?
Hi, sorry. Not sure if you can hear me. I'm on headphones today.
Yes, I hear you very
Okay.
clearly.
Okay, I'm in Kalamazoo, Michigan,
Ah,
but
welcome
I'm
from Kalamazoo.
thank you. I also am licensed in California, so I'm technically in California right at the moment.
Oh, very good. In what area in California?
Central Coast. I
Okay.
got to watch the rocket launch last night. So
Oh, nice. Very good. Well, welcome to the Sphere gathering here today. And then we have Susan Robinson.
Hello,
Hello, welcome.
thank you. I'm in Gilbert, Arizona, in the Phoenix area.
Wonderful. Well, welcome to this group today.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
and hope that you both will chime in with questions and also offer any of your experiences as we discuss things as well. And I know a few people alerted me earlier that they were going to just be in listen mode. Is anybody else available to introduce themselves? All right. Well, let's continue with our discussion about working your sphere in the spring. So the spring is upon us, and often things start to get heated up a little bit in the real estate market, especially in areas that experience more severe weather conditions. My name is Cyndi Lesinski, and I'm in California. So we're not as impacted by the weather conditions, but are impacted by additional aspects of the real estate world of when we get a higher increase of listings coming on our market. But the importance, starting with our slide here, in discussion of the importance of consistent communication and how to achieve it. So in the spring, a lot of times as realtors, we start to gather up ideas and things that we want to do. But the importance is actually that consistent communication. So I'd like to bring up the discussion to see if you have ways that you consistently communicate with your sphere and how you feel that's currently working with you and what you would like to do to add some more consistency with that communication. What creative ways do you stay in touch with your sphere? What is being intrusive? What is being, what is a way to stay in touch without being intrusive? And do you measure the effectiveness of your engagement efforts? So I know that's a mouthful, but I'd like to get some feedback from those of you that are on track here and see what your thoughts are.
I have a input.
Great. I would love to hear from you, Susan. Thanks so much.
Okay, so I could really use ideas from all of you as well, because I did a monthly newsletter for years and it was through command because our team just switched over basically during the holidays from Keller Williams. So I paid like $20 a month for, it was a really nice newsletter that someone like a tech person created. And then I would add on to it. I would put a personal message. I would localize it and I would add on to it. But it worked out really well. And I no longer have that, but I would like to continue to do a newsletter. So I would love input. Do any of you have a really good way that you do a newsletter to send to your sphere?
So the one way that I do it is through, I have a couple different sources. But my main thing is more of an item of value that I send out through Brian Buffini. So that takes a membership, of course, with coaching through his system. And I just do the self-coaching. So I get the cards to send out. I get 50 cards a month to send out. And I just started to have them send out my item of value, which is a newsletter of sorts. It's just a one pager. It is not specific to my area, but it's specific to home ownership. And I'm able to personalize that with my information on it. So I do have that hard letter go out to my top 100 people. And then I also do a monthly bomb that is something that we create that is personalized. I'm supposed to do a video on it every month, but sometimes I don't. I've got to get better at that. And that is also something that hits them via email rather than a hard copy. What type are you looking for? Are you looking more for hard copy sending snail mail or within an email?
I have been emailing it.
Yeah.
So I would get it every month and it it had just really interesting articles. I mean, even my mom said that she's like, "Oh wow, this is an amazing newsletter." And it had more information. They could click on it and expand the articles. And then it had like a monthly home maintenance of things that they should be working on. So, I mean, to me, it was really interesting and really helpful. And I would usually change the photo and put like a really nice Arizona house. I would kind of customize it a little bit. And then, as I said, I would always do a letter from me talking a little bit about what we've been up to. And then I would talk about the market and what's happening. And so it was kind of, I made it a little more personal, but it was also like a market overview. So basically, because I've switched companies, like I don't have access well, I'm still getting it. I need to stop it actually. But it's really branded to a different company. So I'm just looking for
Right.
like a different newsletter format. If anybody knows of a good, monthly newsletter that similar to that.
I
It
think
wasn't
Cheryl
expensive.
has her hand up. I think she may have a good suggestion or
Yeah,
additional question.
yeah.
I don't know if I
I
put my hand up, but
Oh, sorry,
Canva.
there's two Cheryls on here. Cheryl
Oh,
Johnson.
yeah.
oh,
Hi, Cheryl. I'm Cheryl
hi,
Lynn.
Cheryl with an S.
Our moms were thinking the same, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, so I also am in team coaching, leadership coaching at Buffini. And so I do send out that item of value monthly. And then I'll put this in the chat, but there's a gal back east and it's called Elevated Agent. And she has kind of a monthly subscription. It's only $5 a month. And she can do your newsletter. So you can just drop it into, whatever email thing that you're doing, if you're doing MailChimp or whatever, but you can kind of customize it. It comes over as a Canva template. But I'll put her info in the chat.
Thank
And
you.
she
I
was
I appreciate
doing
it.
Yeah, she also does social media for $5 a month, and it comes with a post every day of the month if you want to do that kind of thing. I did it for
Wow.
a while, and I'm kind of changing things up again, but she's really good and it's pretty easy to drop in. So hopefully that's
That's
helpful.
awesome. Thank you. I need to
Yeah,
do
of
that.
course.
So, and I also sent it out through command. So, what is the best system to, well, I'm putting everything in Follow Up Boss now instead and starting that whole thing. Like my whole team is utilizing Follow Up Boss. And so I'm in there, but I'm just still getting more familiar with it. So what would you all recommend sending it out through? Should I just do MailChimp? Like, what are the costs of these?
I I would recommend if you're going to use Follow Up Boss, which I've never used myself, but if you're
Mhm.
going to use it, I would figure out using Follow Up Boss to the maximum and look at creating your list of who you're sending that to through Follow Up Boss and getting it sent out through there. Um, Other options are typically going to cost you more, and if you're already having a system like that that you can send it out through, I would explore that before starting to spend dollars on other programs. But one of the programs that I would send it out through would be like BombBomb, where you can
Mhm.
also add a video to it. And, all the different trainings on marketing really seem to emphasize that videos get more attention and people click on those more often than just a stagnant type of newsletter. So
Mhm.
I would recommend looking into something like that to send it out. And typically, I think with your follow-up boss, it may have those options built into it, depending on what level that you are signed into that.
Hmm. I mean, I'm just in the team Follow Up Boss, and um, yeah, I'll have to look into it because I should be able to integrate the BombBomb into it, right?
Yes.
Into the Follow Up Boss. So
Yeah.
I would just like get this newsletter, load it up, well, personalize it, load it up into Follow Up Boss, and then send it out. Well, do a BombBomb video
Right.
and
Right.
then send it out through Follow Up Boss. That would
Right.
be great because
Yeah.
I've kind of had this hiatus. Um, but on a different note, I'm in a new neighborhood and it's a new build neighborhood. And so we can give input on this next thing. But I started a neighborhood Facebook group that I've, advertised to everybody. And now I'm doing the first event, which is like a spring meet and greet and Easter egg hunt for all the kids. And it's going to be the 30th. But one thing I struggle because I don't want them to just feel like, oh, she's just doing this because she's a realtor. And some people just really don't like that to feel, and I'm doing it for both. I mean, literally because I'm their neighbor and I want to get to know them and no other reason, but also because I do see other realtors. Somebody just started a Facebook page and they're doing this. There's other realtors that are jumping in to the neighborhood, even though they don't live here. And so, I mean, I do want to do it for real estate, but that's not only my only purpose. So I could use advice like how do I do this without them feeling like it's only because of my business.
And that's a great question of something that we really touched on in our last session of creating the Facebook page for neighborhood specific. And I know Jennifer, who's on here, she has created different promotions through a newer neighborhood that also one or two other agents started to really actively work on. And it was kind of interesting to see the competition that started between the two of them, of her having a Kona Ice event and then a pumpkin Halloween gathering, and then what the other agent was also trying to do to keep himself in front of them, since she was getting very active in there. The one big takeaway that I got from our last session with that Facebook page and all of that, most agents said, have it be subtle as to, oh, and I happen to be a realtor. As you are at those events, they will find out that you are a realtor. Now, when you're truly hosting an event there, you can have the sponsors of different affiliates that will support your information and support your gathering there. And you could have some pop-bys at that event that have your information, but you don't have to be blatantly stating to people, oh, I'm a realtor, I'm a realtor, I'm a realtor. They'll get your pop-by that has your tag, your information on it. They'll see your information subtly on the website, but not trying to be in their face about it. So does anybody else have recollection of that from our last session or have input with regards to that? I know Jennifer isn't able to chat yet. She's just in listen mode, but she's dealt a lot with that. So there's a
So
lot of good research on this that you'll be able to delve in deeper with it. But that's kind of how I do it in the various neighborhoods. Just, doing things subtly when you're doing the giveaways and you're doing events, but yet letting them know who is a sponsor of it, especially if it's in a neighborhood you want to develop those deeper relationships with. Because if you're just all about, I'm a realtor, that's going to generally push them away and think that's the only reason why you're there.
I mean, I don't even have a sponsor right now. My husband and I are just hosting it,
Right?
and I don't have a sponsor, but I have neighbors that have stepped up and they're dropping off Easter eggs to contribute. And my next door neighbor said that she's willing to contribute money, or she might, or like go get food or whatever. So neighbors are willing to contribute. I haven't, so yeah, I'm struggling with with how to incorporate business in a tactful way. So yeah, I think on my Facebook page, I can post like monthly events that does like have me on the bottom of it.
Mhm.
But so far, I mean, if you read about me on the neighborhood Facebook page, like on the side, I do talk about how I'm also a realtor, and all that. But yeah, I just need advice on how to incorporate it better into the neighborhood.
Yeah. There is that balance between, being, one, I always say be true to who you are and why you're doing it outside of your business reasons. And if that shines more, they're going to respect you more, and then they will start to utilize you. But they're only going to utilize you if they know, like, and trust you and know that you are a realtor. So you do have to get that message out to them. So your first event, it may be very subtle, and it may be that you wear your real shirt. If you have a shirt that signifies that you're a realtor, whether it's a real brokerage shirt or a shirt that has your logo on it, that can start those conversations. I would say days in the past, people would wear their tag, but that tag screams more of I'm working, where a shirt with
Mhm.
a logo and a message is more subtle as to I'm yeah, I happen to be a realtor too. And now, did you say that it is a neighborhood that you actually live in as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
We next month will be 1 year since we moved in here. Ours was one of the very first homes. So the neighborhood is still being finished off. So this will literally be the first, big event in the neighborhood.
Right.
And we just walked Sunday and put the invitations, because I physically took them door to door and I talked to people. But I just posted it on the neighborhood page as a
Mhm.
reminder, and then we attach them to the mailboxes as well. So it'll be like a meet and greet with all the neighbors, and then, as I said, an egg hunt. And I actually would like to get to know people who do other things. I know there's different builders and like different people in the neighborhood. Um, but I've heard there's other realtors in the neighborhood too. So I'm
Right.
not sure how to like open it up to all the other businesses to go ahead and say what they do without having other it's like I don't want their information.
Right. And that is a risk factor whenever you are opening it up to all. How many people are in the community?
It's not a huge community. There's 71 homes.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that I would recommend is really if it's 71 homes, I would reach out to my title rep, get the list of all of the people that live in the neighborhood and explore reading down through them so that you could see which ones are realtors so that if you do a full mailing to them where you do a handwritten invitation, you know how to address those who are a realtor versus all the others that are true neighbors that have other types of professions. You're going to run into there will be those other realtors that are there, and you don't want to fully exclude them because then it has become a situation where everybody learns it's specifically for business purposes.
Mhm.
But again, if you develop a clear, achievable goal to attracting them to become part of your database that you can work on navigating your relationship to become more of a connection, a true connection that eventually, if they know anybody that's moving or if they themselves are going to move, they're going to reach out to you versus the other agents within the area. So that does kind of bring to the business plan for the spring and overall business development is really setting clear, achievable goals for the spring season. And then following spring season and each season making those goals be true, achievable goals. So if you're starting in a new neighborhood, what are those achievable goals? So it may be developing a community Facebook page that's specific to a targeted group of homes. And then the goal for setting up that Facebook page, which you are already doing, which is having and what I would say is your first annual gathering of that community. And that's going to become an annual spring event. So I would recommend naming this spring event, having a good solid name for it, that it becomes an annual event that you are involved with, that you have started, that you named. And then next year, that event gets even more developed by since we've been doing a few gatherings and we have this Facebook group, I've pulled in some of my business colleagues that serve all homeowners to help sponsor this event. And now you have your sponsors for next year that you can not have the homeowners have to cover the cost of maybe you get a bouncy for the kids that are there or a Kona ice truck or a taco truck to have food and different vendors there. So look at this first one as very casual, simple, and ability to grow it for next year. A lot of times working your sphere and your farm is all about time factor. It's not just what you do today, knowing that it's going to turn into something business-wise for you tomorrow. It's hanging in there for the length of time to allow it to grow into something that really builds your business. It's longevity. And some of us that have been in business for 20 years or entered into business at the age of 60, we don't always have that longevity that we need to be able to set those clear, achievable goals and budgets and things that will help produce more business more quickly. But when you're doing that Facebook group and those annual events, that's something that is created over time. Does that all make sense? Feedback on that? Anybody? So
Yes.
with
No.
that, allocating your resources effectively, your time, your budget, your manpower. When you're limited on your budget, your first ones, if you haven't called in affiliates to help with that spring event, then it's really all about your manpower and what you can do to create a great event with the various resources that you have available. And a lot of times when I create the events, we look at the budget and we work on my affiliations. Who's my title? Who's my escrow? Who's my insurance agent? Who is willing to help cover the cost of whatever that spring event is going to be, or fall event, or winter event, whatever the season actually is. And then monitoring that progress and adjusting the strategies as needed. So making sure that you log how the event went off once you complete it. What was the cost? What went really well? What could you improve upon? And make clear notes so that next year when you're going to hold that spring event again, you can grow that event and make it even more successful. Because the more successful it is, the more connections you are creating in your community that you'll be able to grow your business.
I have a question about that.
Yep.
I wonder, I mean, normally when we do events, with our group, we do, of course, use title and lender, and they do all kinds of stuff for us. However, when I'm specifically doing neighborhood events, and I know there's different people in the neighborhood that I've met who have different businesses and do different things. Is it better to use all my vendors or ask people from some of those, like pick and choose vendors from the neighborhood to also sponsor, or a combination? What do you guys think?
Would anybody else like to chime in with that question?
Sure. I will.
Hi,
I am
Jennifer. Thank you.
Um, I we used for my events, I did a Kona Ice neighborhood event during the summer, and I had our lender make cute little goodie bags with, sunscreen and random little goodies for people and to hand out to kind of promote our lender also. But I think whoever's willing to pitch in with the costs, or, that wants to help out in some way and offer goodie bags or anything would be good. Just anyone willing to pitch in, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the advantage of opening it up too is that creates other kind of unintentional connections with you. So
Mhm.
we have our database of list of vendors that we always work with, but we're always looking to grow that list. So if people come to you naturally through your community event, now that's yet one more person that you can add into your database. So if it's somebody, it could be a neighbor, that has a roofing company, or a neighbor that has a plumbing company, or a neighbor that knows a really good plumbing company. And we'd like to have at least 3 plumbers that we can recommend to our clients. So if you only have 2 to recommend, that could be your third one. And then whoever recommended them, that makes a deeper connection to you, because when you refer that plumber to, say, Jennifer, you can go to Susie and say, Susie, I'm so glad that you connected me with plumber so-and-so, because I just recommended them to Jennifer and she used them and she was very happy with their service. So it creates that ongoing communication, which was one of the first things that we talked about in this session, is that ongoing communication. The ongoing communication isn't built on, hey, I have a listing, I closed a listing, oh, I have a buyer, I closed a buyer. The ongoing communication is that deeper relationships that you can create. So utilizing that as as part of that development, that creates your communication of things that are wholesome, true, and makes people feel good, because now they're glad that they referred that plumber, because your friend Jennifer is happy with that plumber. But you have to be able to follow up with all of that. So that's one of the things that we do whenever we refer people. What I often do is I just referred my painter to 2 different people within 24 hours. So I sent my friend, my future client, the referral of the painter. I sent a message to the painter saying, just want to let you know that you may hear from Rose. I just shared your contact information for her. This is what she's looking for. She wants exterior paint and 2 bedrooms painted. He's very thankful to me. They then thank me for the referral. And then I sent a message to the original person that referred me my painter saying, hey, just want to let you know, I still use your painter. He still is one of the best in the industry. Just need to thank you for making that connection. So that's that communication that keeps things flowing with regards to working my sphere. So, with spring coming, one of the things that I should do is create my, which I think we do have actually, the spring list of what a homeowner should do in the spring, and add to that list, here are my top referral sources for painting, for gardening, all the things that you should do in the spring. So I'm glad we're doing this session, because I just came up with my spring goals myself of adding 2 things.
One thing
So
I've been doing for I think this will be my 7th year. It's called the Holy Guacamole Party. So I provide all the avocados, and I make sure they're ripe. And then everybody brings their favorite ingredients to make their own guacamole. So everybody comes, makes their batch of guacamole. We have beer, I have a taco truck, margaritas, and it's just fun. And then we just give away some silly prizes, but that's always really fun. We also do a Santa. I know we're talking spring, so I'll save Santa for later. But
So your holy guacamole, when do you typically hold that?
right around Cinco de Mayo.
Okay.
So I actually live on an avocado farm, so I'm able to pick all my fruit, 10 days prior, and people just come out to the ranch, and we just have music and a taco truck, and super easy. And then
Yum, where are you?
I'm in Ventura County, California.
Oh
So
man,
I'm right by the Reagan Library.
I'm in Arizona, but I want to go
Well,
to your
come on
guacamole
over.
party.
Cheryl,
Come on over.
send me an invite, Cheryl. I'll be there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It'd be
That's a
fun.
great idea. That's so true about vendors. I know that a few houses down, I know there's an AC, a guy that owns an AC company, so that would be a good one. And next to me, they do something on homes. And let me get rid of this. Um, sorry, my daughter's trying to
So Cheryl, with your
FaceTime.
holy guacamole, how many people do you typically have for that event?
I've had anywhere from 100 to 200 show up.
Nice.
Wow.
So, it's big and it's hard to, because I try to focus, like I hire somebody to kind of be the helper, cleaner person. And then my husband will be in like a gator, giving kids rides and stuff. So I try to focus on just building relationships, talking to people. How are you doing? Do you have any fun plans this summer? Just, going back to what Susan was saying earlier, I think it's really about just loving on your neighbors, right? And
Yes.
they feel that. They know that you're loving on them. And if you're loving on them, they don't care if you're a realtor. They will, you're building that relationship. So it doesn't become salesy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If you're giving, you're coming from a place of giving. So, and it's
Yeah.
fun to have clients meet other clients. And I've actually done a couple times. This was a little bit difficult for me, but I did where I had a couple clients tell their recent story of closing and moving, and kind of did like a little interview. And that was really fun because it kind of showed, it was almost like a verbal testimonial, talking to them about just their story of moving in the community. And anyway,
I think things like that are good too, Cheryl, if you have those recorded and you can create a really good video. I really need to do that too, putting that on my list because I had a wine event and I had my photographer there and he went around and asked people to share something about working with me. And that was a true client event, not a farm neighborhood event. So he knew it. Most everybody there had done a transaction with me. And we ended up putting a collage of those videos of what their experience was like together. And I definitely need an updated one. Yeah. So thank you for that kind of suggestion there.
So question for
yeah.
Cheryl, Holy Guacamole Party, was that a neighborhood event or a client event? Did you did you advertise that you're a realtor? Or is it just for fun?
Yeah, kind of both.
Okay.
I'm a big Buffini person. So in my referral maker CRM, I've got people set as A plus A's and B's clients and some C's. So I actually invite all my clients in there. And some of my clients are my neighbors. So, I usually invite neighbors anyway, just because you're going to have a little bit of extra traffic and cars and stuff, and you want them to be included. Not necessarily that they're going to ever sell, but they know other people, and it's all about getting referrals and building those relationships. So
I love that.
yeah.
Integrating the clients with, and then it's a possibility that the clients will talk about you to the neighbors and how great the experience was. So that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And they know that, if they work with me, they get invited to all these parties throughout the year, If they don't work with me, they don't get invited.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, Jennifer, that's an event that would be really fun for you to be able to integrate into the systems that you've already started.
Right.
It may not be something that you could add to the farm area, but what you could do is host it either at your house, at a local park that you can reserve, and then you could invite that farm area to it, and then including your clients as your client list is growing. Because Jennifer is a newer agent and she just closed her second transaction.
Woohoo!
Yay. And she's just diving in, working her sphere and working her farm. And, she's consistently doing things and working it diligently. So to continue to have that business plan in place of setting those achievable goals, what your next event is and how you want to put that together to include, like Cheryl is saying, including both really your farm and your database, and
Yeah.
integrating that so that it's successful. And whether it's that you end up with 10 people there or 50 people there, it'll be a successful integration of people that are getting to know you, like you, and trust you, and will use or refer you because of your consistency.
Right. I
You know,
like it.
too, Jennifer, what's really cool too is every time you do an event, there's so many touch points that you can have with the clients. So, you're sending out an email, maybe you're doing a social media post, maybe you're getting on the phone, old school, and actually calling people and inviting them, and then maybe sending a reminder out. Then they're there, you're loving on them there. And then afterwards, make sure always to have like a photographer, not you, at the event. And it could be just like a teenager. They can take video, they can take little shots for you, and then use that afterwards as like a follow-up. And then I always, I have my Buffini cards here, my big stack, write a handwritten note to everybody that has attended your event and just thank them for attending. So there's so many touch points that you can do with just one event. And it's not like you're calling and saying, oh, do you know anybody that's buying or selling? No, you're saying, thank you so much for coming. It was so great to see you. Loved hearing about your kids, blah, 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 that kind of thing.
Yeah. I
So
like
just on love on your people.
Question, when you send that nice follow-up note, do you put your business card in it?
I
Do you
don't know
include,
if Cheryl does, but I don't always put it in there. There's times where I feel like it's very appropriate to put my business card in there, and there's other times where I don't. And it's a matter of creating that balance of knowing the difference of when you should and when you shouldn't.
right. Yeah, I wouldn't put it in there, just say thank you, and then maybe, you know, something else, just mail out your newsletter so they all know you're a real estate agent at that point, and then you're just saying thank you for coming to the event.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then just other little real estate pop buys where you're dropping off, like a market update with your name and picture, so they start to put it together. Like, oh, she's a realtor, but she's having a party and not real
for
estate.
those of,
There's
for those
also
of,
those free prints. So you can I think you can get 85 free pictures a month. So if you send all of your photos from the event to that.
Mhm.
What you had cut out, Cheryl J, you had cut out, what site are you talking about with sending your pictures? I think we lost you for a moment there. Susan, what was your question?
um, oh, do you email or snail mail your newsletters?
For mine, I do both. I have a couple different newsletters that I do send out. Um, the one I send out is mailed out directly from Brian Buffini, and then the other one is from my BombBomb account. And then I know Jennifer has a newsletter that she sends out as well. Do you want to share a little bit about that, Jennifer?
Sure. I have a newsletter that I send out by mail. When I started in real estate, our title person actually just recommended a printing company, and he just made these newsletters. So I'm just trying to find it.
What printing company is it?
So my newsletter is like a trifold, and I don't know if he would do your area. His name is Stephen Edmonds.
He's
Um,
he's a title rep, did you say, Jen?
No, he's a printing company. It's called Agent Printing. So you could probably look up, agent, real estate agent, marketing or printing companies. And he just makes this for me monthly. So it has tips for gardening. It has a recipe on the back.
And
What is his
how do you
what is
send
his
that
name?
out? Jennifer, if you could put his information in the message chat, that would be great. And then also, how do you send that out, Jennifer?
I send it out by mail.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he sends it out for you to a list that he created or you created?
I got the list from title for the neighborhood of all the addresses, and then I emailed that to him, and then he mails it out. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So that's, yeah. And I do get people that say they like my newsletter, they tried the recipe. As far as business, I haven't received anyone calling me saying, I got your newsletter, I want to list my house. But it's just getting in front of people,
So
a lot.
does title does this printer through title, do they just do it, or do you contribute something to that?
So, and my apologies if I confuse things. I thought she did get it from title, but it is somebody that actually just creates it for her. But the question, Jennifer, are you able to make adjustments in it, or is it set the way he does it?
No, I'm also wondering about cost.
Oh, the cost. So no. So our title rep gave me, the contact information for the printing company and that makes these newsletters, and then I send it out to 500 or 600 people, and I think it's $4.95 or something a month, or $4.64, somewhere in there. So let's just say 500 a month for about 500 people or something.
And that's a cost that you cover yourself.
That's I pay that myself to the printing company who creates it. And if I wanted to make any updates or change anything, I could. I don't know where or how he makes it, but I just kind of review it and I like it, and make sure there's no, little grammatical errors or anything, and then tell them to go ahead and mail it out.
So I think, Jennifer, for you, one of your next steps with that mailer would be to really evaluate who you're
Yeah.
sending it to, how many you're sending, and really monitor the progress and adjusting your strategies of sending it on the basis of, if you're sending it out to that many people, what else are you doing to have additional touches to them? Is that part of your farm that you've been doing your events at, or should you start to adjust and add that farm into there and take away some of the people that have maybe been getting it, or just add the additional farm. I think your farm is like 200 people, 180.
Yeah. Yeah, I am so I send it to my sphere, which is 100 people, and then I send it to my neighborhood, which is 175 homes, I believe.
Okay.
And then I send it to my my dad's neighborhood. That's my, my main farm.
Okay, so good. So they are getting it too.
So yeah, so I'm sending the newsletter, and then I'm also door knocking that farm. So I'm more in contact with that neighborhood. And then I do want to kind of reassess and probably stop sending it to my neighborhood, just because I think I've been sending it to my neighborhood for 2 years or a year and a half, and haven't seen any results, because I'm not really keeping up with my neighborhood as far as, emailing or calling or door knocking or doing anything else.
Right.
And then my sphere is fine, right? I can text. I need to be better at texting them, and,
Because it isn't just doing a newsletter
right.
itself.
It's not just about the
That
news.
is just a one touch of many touches, as Cheryl had said earlier, like even with the events. It, my summary of the events is, it's not necessarily how many people came to the event, but how many people know that you had the event and that you've reached out on a number of other touches, that they're getting familiar with you, that they're liking you, they're gaining trust of you, and they're gaining knowledge that you're a realtor. So the same with a newsletter that just goes is a flat item that just goes, and often they look at it for 10 seconds and toss it in the garbage. You need them to not just see your face that 10 seconds, but where else have you touched them? What else have you done to work them into your sphere that creates them as more than just somebody that's getting this piece of mail from you? What else are you doing? You're doing, the Facebook page, you're doing the events. They're invited to everything and anything that you do, so that they become familiar with you. You invite them all to your open house. If you're having an open house and you have their email, you should be inviting them to your open house, saying, I'm holding an open house this Saturday. I know it's, you're likely not going to be looking for this home, but maybe you know somebody that is, and you can send them over to the open house. How else are you reaching out to them that they know that you're a busy, active realtor? So creating that entire plan of integrating all of them into what that plan is.
Right. Yeah. Because the newsletter, just mailing it without creating a relationship or a connection, is they just see another realtor newsletter and they just toss it, unfortunately.
I mean, could you could you do the Elevate newsletter for like $5 instead of the five? You know what I mean? Like instead of the 500 or 600, I'd be tempted to I'm gonna look into this what is it? Elevated agent newsletter. That looks really affordable. I'd have a hard time spending $500 or $600 a month unless I was getting like a deal a month.
Right.
Right.
Well, and the cost of it is typically very affordable. There's a number of resources that offer it, from your title person that can just offer monthly ones that you send out. It's what is costly is the printing and the sending it. So if you are looking at trying to get something in their fingertips that they're holding in front of them, there will be that extensive cost. If it is just simply an email, then, it's going to go out, which is free, but yet you also want to be cautious of not just spamming people and being careful of that and having their permission to sending it out. Or if you're sending it out to an established database of people that already know, like, and trust you, that's keeping you in front of them. And they generally are more receptive to getting it in that email. So it's a balance in establishing what is your goal with that newsletter. What is your goal to achieving that? I do want to jump on board of a spring event and just ask everybody the question of, does anybody have a spring event planned within the next 2 months? It still will semi be spring, right? So what are you doing as a spring event within the next 60 days, and how are you planning that? And we just have a limited time left for our discussion. So does anybody have that spring event?
This is Cheryl with a C.
My
I've
flyer.
got a first time home buyer seminar coming up in one of our local like sweets and treats shops. Ooh, I like it. Spring meet and
Nice.
greet. And then we also have the following month in May. So that's in April. The following month in May, we've got a spring cleaning yard sale in my farm neighborhood. So we're working on it.
Nice. If
How
you
do you
could put
handle the
those
garage
in the
sale?
chat too, Cheryl, that would be great. Just list those in the chat for us.
Sure.
I'd love to hear how you handle the garage sale.
Cheryl, do you have specific tips on the garage sale?
So I'm printing postcards off of Canva. I'm going to walk the neighborhood. It's also in conjunction with another neighborhood that's just on the other side of the freeway. Same weekend, and they're doing a lot of promotion on Facebook. My little farm neighborhood only has one in and out, one street in and out of it. So not promoting a whole lot. This is my first time doing it. I just adopted the neighborhood because I just moved to Michigan. But they've never done something like this. And our daughter lives in that neighborhood. So she says, well, why not? So I got to chatting with some of the moms back during the Halloween event that they had. And they said it was a great idea. So I'm going to roll with it.
Nice. Now with our neighborhood garage sale, ours is coordinated by our HOA community. But a lot of times what I end up doing is I take all my open house signs and I make it so that my logo still shows, but I print out a garage sale and I tape it on my open house signs, and I have the arrows going the direction that most of the garage sales are held in. So that was one way that I helped support our garage sale, by utilizing those signs, which a lot of the neighbors were very appreciative of that. That would be a really good event to start to be involved in on an annual basis. And events like that could easily be added into your neighborhood Facebook page of communicating and helping to coordinate those type of events. So another thing I saw another agent do with the garage sale is they had everybody submit their address, that who is participating and going to have their garage sale. And then she created a map that showed which homes, and especially if you have a one way in and one way out, you could stand there with like a lemonade stand with little kids, let them sell lemonade at the entrance and hand out the map that would have your logo on that map that you're, supporting the garage sale. And you have all the houses that have submitted to you so that people can see which streets to actually turn down.
I love that idea. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. One of the other events that I've been part of, and it's actually a real estate group of all different agents, all different companies. We put on a shred it event. And that's a good spring cleaning event whenever you're encouraging people to clear their house out and they want to dispose of paperwork, bring it to our shredded event. And I got the most people to come to that shredded event because I used it with all of the touches. I had it on my Facebook. I made it look like it was my personal event. We had two sponsors, a mortgage company and I forget who the second sponsor was now, but we had a mortgage company. Oh, and our organization was the second sponsor. And I just put their logos on with my logo and just started blasting it out. I did a bomb with it. I did various emails with it and all my social media posts. And then when I was there, I wore my shirt that showed the real logo and my logo. And I greeted every person that drove through the drive-through to drop off their stuff. The other agents all sat around and talked with one another. I was greeting everybody, and as I greeted them, I'd ask them, who sent you, who invited you to this event? And if it was another agent, I would call that agent over and say, Susie, your clients are here, and she would then come over. But I got to greet every single person. So I took advantage of the fact that other realtors at that event were not really good hosts. And I made sure I was a good active host. And that really made a difference. I think I had 12 of my past clients in Sphere come to the event. But again, everybody knew about it. My follow-up of that event was as soon as they were starting to unload their paperwork, I took a picture of them unloading their stuff to load it into the truck. And I took a picture selfie with me with them. And then when they drove away, I sent them the picture and said, thank you so much for, disposing of your paperwork properly and coming and greeting, I had a really nice saying, greeting me and saying hello. So and of course they responded back, I'm so glad you did this. It really helped me. I did share it with friends because I would tell them friends are invited. So anybody else that needs this, please share this invite with them too. So there were a few people that did come through saying they were coming through because friends invited them. So that was one of my really successful events that was done last year, and it's coming up in 2 months actually when we do it next. Any other quick spring ideas? Because we have come past our time and would like to end our discussion here for spring. Anybody? Last parting words. Well, again, thank you all for attending today's event. We did touch on things that actually can be done throughout the year, not just spring. So, but we came up with a few spring ideas. I came up with a few ideas myself that I am going to take action on. And I hope that this was a session that gave you some action steps to take when we are completed here. So I wish you all a wonderful spring and would like to end with be kind, be nice, do an act of kindness that makes a difference in somebody's life. Could be a simple smile, which is given out for free. So be kind.
Thank you,
Thank
Cyndi.
Thank you, everybody. Wish you a great one.
you too. Bye.
Thank you.